How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the video. This is Gr.3. And man, I got a great race for y'all guys today. This is probably one of my best races so far. Gran Turismo Sport. This is a daily race, 10 lap, fuel consumption, tire wear, all that stuff. You know how it is, man. So here goes the start of the race, and I gotta say, this is a fantastic car for consistency. The Audi R8 may not be the fastest kid on the block, but one thing that I respect about it, from what I can tell so far, is that it's got a lot of control, a lot of leeway. Oh, before we talk about the car, I gotta talk about this laggy ass dude right here, because look at this motherfucking wheelie he just popped right there. I'm like, I need to get away from this guy as soon as possible, because he's red barring, and everyone else is doing okay, so I'll just keep that in mind, because look what he does right here. This is just one of those things that happens every now and then. He's Canadian here, and he's not apologetic about it, which you would expect him to be, but he's taking his spot. He's at number 3, so I'm behind him, and the guy behind me, I can't quite pronounce his name. It's like Barnabas Centeno or something like that. I'm not going to repeat that name, but you need to keep an eye on that guy right there. Not because of him being dangerous or anything like that, but because this guy and me, we go at it the entire race. I'm talking about 10 laps, right? We're just going at it the whole time like this, and then of course with some separation whenever that happens. But just keep an eye on him, because this is what's going to make it epic, man. When you have a good battle like that online, this is when the game is at its best, alright? A good, clean-ish race. He kind of nudges me right there, so, you know, he has the line there because of that. So he's going to take that lead right there. And you see that he has a penalty. That may have been from when he bumped me just now. I'm not exactly sure, because I didn't see him with the penalty before. But he's sitting with a 4.6 penalty. He's going to have to worry about that pretty much the whole race, right? So my strategy for this race, because this was literally my second race on this map. Suzuka, I've played Suzuka in Gran Turismo game before, but there's something about GT Sport that's really raising the bar with taking everything completely serious, and it makes you think about every little thing that you do, and I really do appreciate the game for being that way. And so the Audi R8, I gotta go back to this. This car is actually very, very trustworthy. I trust the car, and it cuts me some slack if I go a little too crazy on the throttle out of the turn. That 4-wheel drive, it's doing wonders. Now, if I'm not mistaken, it's 4-wheel drive. Maybe for Gr.4 it might be rear-wheel drive, but it sure does handle as if it is one. And so it just gives me some leeway there to make some mistakes. Now, I am going to make some mistakes because I'm not a high tier. I'm actually grinding for AA right now. In this race, I started off with a B rating for my driving and conduct skill ratings. Now here we go with this guy again, the Porsche, and he's starting to get a little bit of ground on me. So what I'm noticing about the Porsches is that, man, they're just like overall probably the best car for multiplayer, just for most maps, because most maps have mostly turns. You're not really dealing with a lot of straights, at least the races that I've seen so far since I've really started. And so the Porsche is good on a lot of maps. It's definitely better than the Audi R8, I'll say that much. But the consistency is what I'm looking for here, and because this is a new map for me to really learn, competitively. Suzuka, we used to do drift lobbies on this map, on that one sector where you had all the fancy turns in the beginning of the map. So I never really raced on this map. I always just drifted on it. So it's a new experience for me altogether. I use the driving line when I'm learning a new map, and then eventually I take it off and just have the brake cones or whatever. That's a bit of a handicap, but also again, cockpit view makes it harder. So I like to have that just in case I don't have my peripherals. If I'm right behind somebody, I need to have something to help my my planning for what I'm going to do next. So this race so far is pretty consistent. Everybody has really good spacing right now. No drama as of yet, at least ever since the first lap. And these turns right here, I just kind of try to ease into them, you know, not to go too crazy and to just stick with the line, because, you know, if all else fails, that's what's going to allow you to come out that corner really strong. And, you know, I'm learning these things. I'm not exactly perfected it yet. Now, you see him mess up right here, and he quickly closes that window for me to pass by him, so I have no choice but to ease off and let him go ahead and get his spot back. Now, I mess up on that, and I brake a little bit too late there, but I make up for it right here just to get right behind him by being a little bit more aggressive on that second turn right there. And without causing too much drama, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to hit anybody. And so I give them their space to operate. I you know, I take what I get, and I just basically just try to outmaneuver them if they make mistakes. And my idea here is to not make mistakes. And you could possibly say that, you know, it's almost like you're being the nice guy. But the thing is, in this game, nice guys might actually finish first. So much for that saying right there. So Laggy Dude finally messed up, and we just kind of drop him from behind us. So he's now in 5th position, and me and the Porsche 911, we're just back at it again, just battling the entire time. This is just fantastic footage right here. So you see how I'm alternating between the replay view and then of course the gameplay view, which is what I played in right here. A little bit of slippage right there, but it's okay. Got plenty of space here, and I like having my own little area to operate, so I can really just focus on my driving without having to deal with other cars around me too much. So whenever I get the opportunity to do that, it's always great. Good situation. Now the second and third place both have penalties. I'm not exactly sure how much second place had at this point, but I see that he still has the same penalty from earlier. Nice wheel in the back over there. I'm not exactly sure where is this. It's probably Japan, right? This is Japan. Alright, so now we have another thing coming up here, the Mercedes. And one of the reasons why I didn't go with the Mercedes on this map is exactly for that reason right there. It's a bit of a wild child when you consider the fact that it's got so much torque that if you come out of that turn a little too zealous, you're gonna spin out. And that's another reason why I guess the Audi R8 worked out for me on this map this week at least, because I didn't need to have all that, you know, I didn't need to have that window for mistakes where it's gonna just cost me the entire race. Coming off the track like that, just detracking is what you want to avoid at all costs. And that's another reason why you want to give people their space, because you don't want to get nudged off to the side, and you don't want to do the same thing to other people, because then you kind of feel fucked up for it when you don't get a penalty for it, because it's just a minor nudge. And so, you know, keep all that stuff in mind, you know. Now this corner right here, I could always be a little bit more aggressive on. I choose not to, because I don't want to make mistakes like I did when I was doing my qualifier rounds. But I'll get used to it pretty soon. Now this part right here, that little double chicane, that little real slow one, is pretty crucial, because that's going to set the tone for how you're going to come out and go down the straight. And the faster you are coming down the straight, this is your opportunity to gain the most amount of time, aside from the pit stop, which we'll see here in a lap or so. I'm just kind of taking these corners real smooth, not too crazy. Some nice music in the background. I hope you're enjoying this music that I choose on here. It's not necessarily meant to get the heart pumping, but more or less almost like a chill mode, you know what I mean? It's kind of what I go for in my Gran Turismo content for the most part. And then of course we can switch things up when the heat is on and the race is on the line, of course, because it's kind of what you have to do. You have to get in your zone when you're playing. You can't just go balls to the wall the whole time, and then you just get real tense. You gotta, you know, think about it like an endurance race. And technically that's what it is, you know, but it's only 10 laps. And so you got to be in it for the long haul, and that's what I'm learning. You know what I mean? And that's a good thing to see some progress, because after this match, well, we'll see how it turns out. But from what I remember, it actually brought me up in my rating. So very good to kind of stick with the entire race and follow through, and not get frustrated if you do make mistakes. And all that comes down to what it is that you're doing to prevent yourself from making those mistakes. Putting yourself in dangerous situations next to other players is something that you can avoid. You have the choice to do that. You have the choice to be aggressive, and you just have to know when to do that. That one dude just right there, and then the truck in the grass. That's actually it's really impressive how they detail these maps. I don't see detail like that in other games. Gran Turismo is the GOAT. I don't care what they say. This game here is Kazunori Yamauchi's favorite Gran Turismo game, and I understand why he says that now. As I throw the throwback music from Gran Turismo 5 on here for the pit stop. And this is a crucial part to this race here, because this is when you can really gain some ground on your opponent that was ahead of you. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to opt in to put just enough gas to where I can really push the car, but also finish the race, of course, with some gas to spare. And the second half of the race is important also because you're operating with less gas in a race like this. A little bit less gas than you do when you first start off. Okay, now there's about a quarter of a tank that's already gone, or a fifth of a tank already gone. And so by the end of the race, you're a lot lighter overall because you have less gas. And that's another thing to factor in too. Of course, with the tire wear and all that, that's going to affect it all. But consistency is the key, and that's what we're seeing with the Audi R8. And that's one thing that I really respect about this one right here. I went ahead and decked it out with my own custom livery there. Shout out to some Slovenian dude that made the decals, right? Jessica Alba on the side of the R8. Can't go wrong with that. And then just some random bronze. I've actually won a race before because somebody got distracted by trying to look at the side of my decal, and they ended up hitting a wall. It was really hilarious. It's one of my other gameplays where I won a race on a Gr.4. It was hilarious. So now back to what we're seeing here. The brake line right here, I kind of overdo it because I know that you can really go straight in on that side right there and then slow down and come back out this corner really smooth. But I brake a little extra just to make sure that I don't end up, off the track right there. Because again, it's only my second time racing on this map in multiplayer, so I don't want to cause any, mistakes on my behalf. Getting a little bit more confident on that corner right there. You can see right here. And then the braking. I did like the way the timing was on that braking. I like the way that came out. And then the throttle. And I'm using the steering wheel. And so with the cockpit view, you really do get the immersion. You get the full audio, symphony there of what's going on with the car. And that's one of the reasons why the cockpit view is so interesting to me, because every little minor adjustment that you need to make, to make it right away, because you hear it, you almost feel it, you know what I mean? You feel every little aspect of it, and that's not something that I necessarily can say about some of the other views. You're just there, you feel like you're a part of it when you're racing in this view. Alright, took that angle a little bit too aggressive, but it's okay because we're still getting some ground on the Porsche. And it's the same guy from the beginning. We've kind of been working together almost to just progress in this race and gain some positions. So now we can be a little bit more aggressive here. And I see both of them have penalties still. And right about here is when I start to realize, you know what? I have the chance to win this race. I see that he has a 4.4 penalty. And that gives me an opportunity. That actually is what boosted my confidence right here, right about this lap right here, where I just decide, you know what, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to to just stay consistent with what I'm doing and maybe push myself a little bit more, whatever I can get away with, you know, as far as what my tire wear will let me get away with, and try to get, you know, a little bit closer to first place and see if I can pull this off. So lap 7 here, coming to a close pretty quickly. And this straight right here is where you're going to gain a lot of ground on your opponent as well. Now the first place, his name is Juan. He's driving the Ford GT, so that's not necessarily the case with the Ford GT because that car is a beast on the straight, and everybody knows that. It's a little bit more of a wild child to control in the turns, but if you can tame it, it is, without a doubt, the best car in the game right now that they introduced not too long ago. And I haven't really dabbled with it yet, just because I don't really care to use what everyone else is using as far as like all of the highest, you know, qualifiers. It's usually the, you know, the Porsche or the GT. And I'm anxious to see what it is that Polyphony Digital is going to be introducing next. So back to the cockpit view here, still trying to be very consistent. You see the flow here with these cars. We just kind of got it on lock, and the rest of the racers have either quit or have fallen drastically behind because of flying off the map and that kind of thing. And those kind of things usually happen when people have a lot of drama going on. Now, there goes Juan off the side of the track, and I again give him his space because I don't want to go into that grass right there and end up having a tire slip. So I give him his space, and I start putting the pressure on him instead. Right, because he's the one that lost his position, but he only has a 1.1 penalty right here, so he's actually still in a good position. He feels like, you know what, he can still win this because he's looking at the guy in front of him. He still has a 4.4, and so he's going to go ahead and try to get in front of him right here. But it's not going to go his way because the line that the Porsche took, which is a natural outside line, he took it aggressive enough to knock him out to the side, so he's out of the front running right now. And you could say it was dirty, but he hasn't really been dirty the whole game. And so I hope that wasn't intentional, because this was a really good three-way battle here at the end of the race. So now it's just me and him, with the Ford GT dropping by, you know, around 4 seconds or so. Hitting the brake right here. Now I believe I may have hit it a little bit too soon. Maybe I could have took it in a little bit later on. Now I came out of there and almost pulled up a drift right there. Not good, because now I'm losing a little bit of position on the Porsche. He's gaining ground on me right here, and so I know I really need to lock in for these next 2 laps. This is the crunch time right here, and my zeal right there kind of had me go a little bit overboard with that turn that we just saw, because I was on the outside of it, and that's not consistency. So, you know, obviously when the pressure's on like that, you're either going to go hard or go home. So now is where I got to really pull my shit together and get all this right, have all the pieces falling in place. And this is just fantastic. I mean, here we are. We started off around like 7th, 8th place. We've worked our way to 1st and 2nd. So regardless of how this goes, big ups to this old dude, what's his name again? Barnabas Centeno. I butchered that. I'm pretty sure that's no way to pronounce it, but big ups to him for a good race overall, aside from, of course, that murder that he just did earlier. Now, I come out of this turn pretty good. Now I'm gaining ground on him. I made up for the mistakes I did earlier at the end of that last lap, and now I'm right behind him. And now I'm starting to realize, yes, I got this on lock, because now not only did he have a penalty, it's higher than it was before. It's a 6.4 or something crazy like that, you know what I mean? Now, I'm assuming that he did get that penalty from nudging him off the course earlier at this point. So that was my investigation, and that also made me take the decision of, you know what, this next lap, I'm probably going to get close to him, but I don't want to force the issue of trying to pass him, because that's completely unnecessary, and I don't want him to bait me into some kind of a situation where he has the opportunity to even nudge me off the track. Now, I brake a little bit too late there, and noticing all these things is great for progression, because it allows you to come into the mindset in your next race of, okay, let me not make that mistake anymore, and then I can take it a step higher with whoever I'm going against next. And as I'm progressing in my skill and in my conduct, it's going to put me into lobbies where everybody's thinking more about these things, being more disciplined about them. Really good discipline on that turn right there, and then I'm just going into this flow here. Now these are the turns I was talking about earlier with the drifting. This is a great legendary drifting spot for not only in real life, I believe, but also, you know, in the game, you know, Gran Turismo drift lobbies and all that stuff. So they still do that, actually. I've been in them before. I actually have a few cars that I've been working on to get prepared for that. I just been not, you know, neglecting it for the most part because these races have been really good. Again, not forcing the issue too much here because it's not necessary. And coming into this turn here, he brakes a little bit late, and so I'm right there with him. And he slips a little bit. And I think, you know what? This is exactly where he knocked that guy out. I'm not going to do that. See, he takes that outside line right there, and he's just scratching that edge right there. So I don't want no part of that, you know what I mean? I'm just behaving myself, trying not to hit him, trying not to bump him. And it's all coming together. Now if we just get this final sector nice and clean, that pretty much guarantees me the win. And he knows that. He knows that very well at this point. He knows that I'm not going to be baited into any kind of bullshit. I'm not going to try to punt him off the course, and he's not going to do that to me because we have fought through this entire race side by side, you know, bumper to bumper pretty much, and that is a fantastic race. I tell you, man, this Gran Turismo, this motherfucking shit. If you haven't played this game yet, you gotta try it out. This is one of the best racing games I've ever played. He takes his penalty, boom, that's a W, and that brought me from a BB to a BA skill rating. So another fantastic race in the books right there. JDaz09 coming in with my 5th official win on the multiplayer. I've been playing for maybe like, you know, a couple weeks to a month now, and the progression is fantastic. Hope y'all guys enjoyed that. Y'all take it easy now.